This is how to get and keep your hair healthy. Now, the question is, what are we going to learn about today? First of all, we're going to learn about the makeup of hair. Now, I know a lot of women and a lot of my clients, they look at me and they're like, okay, Stephanie, but we got to go into all of this. But I'm not a YouTuber. I don't, I do put up videos on YouTube, but I'm not one to just show you and say, use this product and use that product, because hair is like a fingerprint and no two heads are alike. No two heads of hair is alike. So no scalps are alike. No hairs are alike. We are unique. God made us all unique. So I always talk about what your hair is made of and take you through that process so you can understand exactly why your hair breaks down. Because if we don't have a basic understanding of the hair and what it is made of and what it does, then and how it works, that's how we lose it, by not being educated. We're also going to learn about what causes hair to become damaged. We're going to talk about the importance of scalp health. And scalp health is so important nowadays, especially if you go up on YouTube, you look in magazines, you are watching something on, some reality show, and you're seeing them, one of the stars getting their hair done in the salon. They show that a lot too. All you talk about is products, what you can use to lay down your hair, what kind of edge control, and nobody talks about the scalp. And the scalp, if your scalp isn't healthy, guess what? Your hair isn't going to be healthy, because that houses your hair. It's like the foundation for your hair. If your house is built on a jacked up foundation and it's on quicksand, or it has sinkholes in it, what's going to happen? Your house is going to be damaged, correct? So it's the same thing with your scalp. If your scalp is badly damaged and we don't take care of it, the hair is not going to grow as well as it could, and it's not going to thrive like it should. That's why a lot of women, especially women of color nowadays, find that their hair is very, very thin and thinning out. And that's because the scalp has not been cared for. So the hair can't thrive. It can't breathe. And we're going to talk about why it's not breathing and why it doesn't thrive. We're also going to talk about how to keep it healthy, since we talked about the importance of hair and scalp, healthy hair and scalp. And then I want you to get a paper and some pen handy for questions. Now, if you have my book, some stuff I'm going to go over, but some stuff I don't have in the book too. So just pay attention and hang with me. And hopefully, you're going to get some little insight on what's going on with your hair. So in case you're wondering, I got to go through this because some people, come to my webinars and see my videos, and it's like, so what makes you so qualified to tell us about keeping our hair and scalp healthy? Well, I am Stephanie Johnson. I am a senior cosmetologist and instructor. I am a scalp specialist. And I also am a salon owner, which I didn't put up there, and I have a product line. So I've been in this business for about 30 years. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. 25 plus. I'm not going to say 30 no more. From now on, it's just 25 years plus, because I do not need to show my age. I have knuckled up with age, man. I took the gloves off. I use every cream and whatever you can think of, but a chick trying to stay young. But anyway. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I've been in the beauty industry. I put it on the slide for over 25 years, so I'm not going to say that 30, no more. I ventured out to the West Coast in 1992. I actually went to California. I used to watch Charlie's Angels as a kid. I always wanted to live out. And, thank you, Allison. I wanted to live out in California for the longest. So at age 24, after I had been doing hair for about 6 years, since I was like 18, I just packed up everything and I moved to California in 1992. And that's where I really got into, being serious about this business and learning about this business and really being interested in keeping our hair healthy, because I went from Michigan, which is surrounded by the Great Lakes, and CJ knows because she's in Chicago. So the lakes give us water that is fresh water and it's not as hard. Well, when I moved to the West Coast, I started having serious scalp problems because that water came from the ocean, most of it, you know, even though they filter and everything, that water is a lot harder. So I had to make some adjustments. And that's when I really started getting interested in it. Then in 1999, I moved back to the East Coast and I continued my education by going to trichology classes. And I had a holistic specialist who became my mentor and trained me. And then in 2005, I started a product line out of the need for myself. Because remember, I told you I moved to the West Coast. And once I moved there and hit that hard water and it was drier and the sun was out all the time, I started having some real problems. And I'm a professional. You know, I'm supposed to know everything to do, and I didn't know what to do. So, you know, sometimes hairstylists, we're just as baffled as you guys. And that's where it comes in, where we really have to start digging deep and try to figure out what's going on. And I think, you know, there's still so much to learn, but I figured out a few pieces of the puzzle, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So let's move into it. That's enough about me. Let's move right on into them. We're going to talk about what is hair. Now, hair is an appendage of the skin. A lot of people say, well, what the heck is an appendage of the skin? Because if you actually look up the definition of hair, like in Google, it gives you some crazy long out, you know, it is keratin comprised of protein, polypeptide chains, and the average person doesn't know what that is. So I'm about to just simplify it for you. Hair is an appendage of the skin. And what is an appendage? An appendage is a thing that is added or attached to something larger and more important. That's something larger and more important that your hair is attached to, which is an appendage, is what? Your scalp. And your scalp is part of your skin. And if you don't know, I'm going to let you know your skin is the largest organ on your body. It houses you. So it is not only the largest, but it's one of the most important. If I would say, well, probably your heart and your brain is more important, but I guess your skin is too, because if your skin gets damaged enough, like a 3rd degree burns or whatever, you can die. You know, because you're susceptible to infections and diseases and all kinds of things, and it's not protecting your organs anymore, and the organs start to break down, and people die from, you know, their skin being too badly damaged. So it is very important. It is that thing. The hair is what is added to that more important, that larger and that more important piece of your body, and that is your skin. That's why we have to take care of it. Now, here is, if you have my book, you've seen this before. If you haven't, I'm going to go over this very quickly. But this is basically a hair strand, and it has 3 layers. It has the cuticle layer, the cortex layer, which is in the center, and then a medulla, which everyone doesn't have. But if you have coarse hair, more than likely you do have a medulla. Now, the problem is we start to break down this outer layer, and I think I have a little pencil here. I'm going to attempt to put this little pencil on. Let me see where it is so I can point to it, and I should have. They changed this around. I used to do this some time ago. That's the whiteboard. I don't want the whiteboard. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys. I can't find my little pencil. I'm going to have to practice that another time. I'm not going to do it on you guys' time. But if you look at the hair cuticle, I don't know. Can you guys see my cursor? Can you see my arrow? Give me a yes or a no. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Yes, you can. Great. Thanks, Allison. So if you see this cuticle right here, and you see it has more than one layer to the cuticle. You see how it's these shingles? You have all of these layers to actually break down before you actually get into the cortex. Now, once you start getting into the cortex, that's when you start to really change the makeup of the hair. And when that starts to get damaged, that's when the hair breaks. So the cuticle is very delicate. That's the word I'm looking for. So it can damage very easily, but just topical damage, like a little bit of singe, a little bit of heat from the flat iron, and you had it too hot, one time is not going to kill it because you have a whole bunch of shingles there and a whole bunch of layers to the cuticle. But if it's time after time after time and you have it too hot, then that's when it starts to break down. That's why a lot of people say, well, I'm trying to keep the heat off my hair. It's not necessarily the heat on your hair that's damaging your hair, but it is the person using the heat. When it's too hot, time after time after time, yes, it's going to break down this cuticle here, and then it's going to be dry, it's going to be brittle, and once it starts to make its way to the cortex, that's when you lose your hair. So here's a microscopic picture of the top picture. It's a picture of a hair strand where the cuticle is raised. This is more damaged on the top. You want your hair to look like the bottom. This is underneath the microscope. Healthy hair is going to look like this bottom picture where the cuticle is closed, can't much get in. That type of hair is shiny. That shows that the sebaceous glands are working beautifully. And we're about to talk about sebaceous glands in just a second. So it's giving your hair natural lubrication. When the hair strand on top is probably a chemically damaged hair, probably from relaxer, because I just kind of pulled this picture from Google because I don't have a high power microscope, but I do have a regular scalp microscope, and I'm going to show you pictures that I have taken myself of some of my clients of the scalp, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into it in just a few minutes. But that is a raised cuticle, and that's why you got to put grease on it all the time. A lot of women say, my hair is so dry, and they're putting grease on it. But if you notice, when your hair is really dry like that and you put grease on it time after time, it's just greasy, but it doesn't seem to keep your hair from being dry. It still feels brittle. It still feels like straw. Excuse me. It just feels like greasy straw. Anybody? Can I get a witness? Anybody understand what I'm saying? Have you ever done that and you put grease on your hair and it was dry and it was brittle? And thanks, Allison. Allison says yes. And it still feels like straw, but it just feels like greasy straw. And the problem is, because you need moisture. It is void of moisture. And don't make this mistake. And so many women do. In fact, I used to make this mistake. We mix up grease. I'm not going to say oil because essential oils is something totally different. But grease, such as your Blue Magics, your sulfurates. I don't know what other kind of grease is out there. I don't know. Remember, they used to have the hair food by Ultra Sheen, and we used to be using all of that stuff. All of that is not moisture. That is just grease, and it's just going to sit on top of your hair. The reason being is because it is a synthetic material, and the molecules are way too large to actually sink into these shingles here. So it kind of just sits on top. It needs to go deep inside and actually give it moisture so it can end up closing it up and looking like this bottom picture, which is the cuticle. So let's look at what's going on and the reason why. Now, remember I talked about the sebaceous glands. We're going to go into that. This is the cross section of the hair completely from top to bottom, from what's inside to what's underneath and how it houses. So you have your working from left to right. At the top, you have the hair, which is above the surface of the skin. And you have the skin surface here, which is this orange part. Now we're moving into the epidermis, which is your first layer of skin. Now, a lot of times, even when your epidermis is damaged, say from chemical burns, normally when you burn from a relaxer and you feel that burn, I mean, we all have been there where they rinse it out and you feel the needles on your scalp, like that mess was just totally burnt up. You have started to damage that epidermis. And the epidermis is pretty thick, but if you go into the dermis layer, which is the second layer of skin, you won't get that far. I think by then you probably have to be rushed to the hospital and pass out. But damaging this epidermis is painful enough because you have that top layer, the surface, and then you have that pink part here, which is the epidermis. Sometimes we go beyond the skin surface and get down into this pink part, and that's when it gets the boils and it starts to ooze. And I don't know if you've been there, but trust me, I have been there. I have damaged my scalp so many ways. That's how I know what to tell you guys what to do and what not to do, because ask me, trust me, I have done it. But then after the epidermis layer, I'm gonna get off of that. I'm gonna go into the dermis layer, which is your second layer of skin. And then we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the hair strand, which is the sebaceous gland. Now, the sebaceous gland here, as you can see, it's these little glands, and then it has these little balls in there. Those little balls represent natural oil that your body makes, that your hair produces. Now, then you have the hair follicle, which is basically, the hair follicle is your hair strand below the surface of your skin. Once it comes out into the world up here, then it's hair, but it's basically hair housed inside your scalp. And we call that the follicle. And actually, it is not just the hair itself, but it's the actual tube that's holding the hair as well. So that is the follicle. Then you have the root sheath, which is holding the hair strand in, and you have the bulge here, which down here, the bulge gets a little bigger to give it some cushion to keep it, so when you tug on your hair, it doesn't rip out immediately. That kind of holds that in there and holds it together, which is, and the bulge is, if you can see, is connected to the erector pili muscle, and that is the muscle that actually holds the hair strand in place. Well, I shouldn't say the hair strand, but the root sheath and the bulge, it holds that in place. And once that gives out, now I want you guys to remember this, because when I go a little bit deeper, you're going to understand why all of these are so important. But the main important ones are these sebaceous glands, which is going to naturally feed your hair. And if your sebaceous glands are working properly, you don't need to grease your scalp. You don't need to oil it. All you have to do is put something on your hair to moisturize it. But as far as your scalp goes, you shouldn't have to do that. I don't know if you remember back in the day when you were younger, if your hair isn't healthy now, how you could go outside and play or get your hair done fresh and then be outside hanging with your friends when you were a teenager, and you're wrapping your hair or you're rolling your hair every night, and a week later your hair is looking greasy and you haven't even oiled your scalp. That was your sebaceous glands kicking out that oil naturally for you. So you don't have to really worry about oiling the scalp unless you are having some particularly dry scalp problems. It's really not necessary because these sebaceous glands feed the hair strand the moisture that it needs. Okay, so just keep in mind, but I want you to keep in mind this erector pili muscle as well. So I'm going to keep on moving. Now, we went through that whole cross section of the hair. Keep that in mind. I'm going to put it back up when I go a little bit more into that erector pili muscle and why our hair is starting to fall out. But we're going to talk about what causes the hair to become damaged. Well, one of the first things is product buildup. We always think that it's going to be relaxers or color or bleach or weaves or braids. But guess what? Product buildup can do that too. And I never hear very many hairstylists talk about product buildup. And I'm going to show you some product buildup, and we're going to see it underneath a microscope that I took myself, of how, and this was after we shampooed the client. After I shampooed the client, I'm sorry, there's something in my eye, and she had so much product buildup that was microscopic. Now, to the naked eye, it looks like your scalp is clean, but guess what? That product buildup will choke that hair strand, choke that opening, block that opening off. And so the hair can't push out. It's working a whole lot harder to push out, which works the sebaceous glands overtime. And then your glands are only going to produce so much oil so often. So if it's working overtime, it depletes itself of the oil and it hasn't had enough time to build more oil back up, and then your hair starts to become dry. And so that's what's happening. So getting rid of that product buildup helps an awful lot. Let's see the next one. Chemical misuse. We talked about that. I remember back in California, and even now sometimes when I used to give relaxers, clients will say, I'll say, okay, it's time to rinse off. They'll say, it's not even burning yet. I'm like, your relaxer burning is not a sign that it's ready to come off. There is a allotted time, and if it is done correctly, you shouldn't feel any burning at all. But we have been so conditioned to think that the relaxer is not ready till we start burning. But by the time you start burning, if you hadn't scratched your scalp, of course, or brushed it vigorously or combed it vigorously before the relaxer, you shouldn't burn at all. So keep in mind, your relaxer burning is not a sign that it's ready to come off. It should be coming off before it burns. Relaxers and thioglycolate, that's what we were just talking about. So if you want to know what thioglycolate is, that's basically a jerry curl. I don't think too many people wear them, but some people still do wear jerry curls. But that's called an ammonium thioglycolate chemical. And but to shorten it up, I'll say it's called a jerry curl. And it's basically what Caucasian women get when they get their hair curly, their hair straight. But what we do is we straighten ours first, and then we reform the curl. That's when we put it on the rods, and then we put the neutralizer on it and lock that curl that we just recreated. So that's what a thioglycolate is, and it can truly tear your scalp up, even if it's done correctly. That's why I do not like them. But back in the day, we thought they were the bomb. You know, everybody wanted to look like Ola Ray and from Thriller, because her jerry curl was banging. But you know, when she tried to come out of that, all that hair was lost. I'm sure it's like you won't hang on to that hair when you're ready to go dry. So that's what a thioglycolate is. But if you do wear one, sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone, but my suggestion to you is try to get rid of it and come on out of that. Color and bleach and aggressive hairstyling techniques. Aggressive hairstyling techniques would be ponytails, braids, crochet braids, weaves, you know, any hairstyle where you can't comb it. So remember, I don't know, but when I was in California back in the 90s, we used to do like the finger waves, and then you put the French roll in the top, and that bad boy would not move. Like it could go in a wind tunnel. You turn it, it doesn't move. It had no movement to it. We would freeze it up with some pump it up or something like that, and it would be like cement. But guess what? Whenever you have a hairstyle, and I get this a lot from clients saying, I want a hairstyle where I don't have to comb my hair. Well, guess what? Hairstyles where you don't have to comb your hair is going to damage your hair. Now, it's okay temporarily if you're going on vacation or, you know, you want to go swimming for a while for the summer. Yes, that's understandable, but you cannot make that your permanent hairstyle. Your hair was designed to be combed. So any hairstyle over time that you don't have to do anything to, know that it is going to damage your hair in the long run. So temporarily, that's fine. You're going on a cruise, I get it. It's not going to kill your hair at all. But if you get it done over and over and over again and don't wear your hair out, don't comb your hair, you can expect hair loss. Now, let's talk about this product buildup. The number one killer with the product buildup is alcohol. But the problem is we don't recognize exactly what alcohol is in certain products. And I am going to do a whole nother webinar, because I would make this one just way too long if I actually went into the product ingredients. So I'm going to make that a separate one at a separate time, and you guys will get an email about it. And if you want to join in and learn about it, I'll teach you all about it. But what I do want to teach you today is about product buildup is the number one culprit, which is alcohol. But we don't always recognize what alcohol is. But the number one thing that Black women use today that has all that alcohol in it is these edge control products. Now, they're, you know, how can I put this? It is a double-edged sword, because edge control products are so beautiful. I mean, what they can do, it just lays your hair down and your baby hair's looking good and your hair stay in place all day long. But it takes alcohol to make that happen. And the alcohol is what damages your hair. Now, there are edge controls out there that don't have these two products, these two ingredients I'm about to talk to you about in it. But the con to that, or the drawback to that, is that it don't keep your hair down. Halfway through the day, your edges are popping up, and you like, is this stuff rolling up on me? So, you know, I get it. We want to use it, and you know, it's great to have your edges slayed, but it does kill your hair. So two products that I want you to look for when you when you are using edge control that I just say just completely stay away from is the Cedarith 25, and you will see it. If you have edge control now, and you're close to it, I want you to grab it and look at the back of it and see if it contains either Cedarith 25 or something called PEG 7 glycerol cocoate. Now, I used to call it cocotate, and I was just like, am I dyslexic? Obviously, I was, but it's pronounced cocoate. Those two products, those are the biggest killers in edge control. If you can find an edge control that is void of these two ingredients, I would say buy that. Now, like I said, the drawback is these are very strong alcohols that they can add to the edge control, but yet still make your hair look shiny and slick, but it's going to hold it down. If you take out these two ingredients, like I said, it's going to pop up a lot easier. So my suggestion to you is that instead of waiting until the morning, if you do find it, when you do find edge control products without these two products in it, and there's plenty out there, trust me, you just got to look and pay attention to the back. Put it on at night and then tie your edges down, and that'll help you make it through the day the next day. And then the next morning, you may want to put just a little bit on your edges and take your toothbrush or whatever you're using and maybe shape it just a little, but don't disturb it too much. But if you tie it down and sleep overnight, it should last you most of the day, if not all of the day. Probably by the time you get home, it might turn into an afro, especially, this time of year with all this heat. But, your edges will stay intact and they won't start thinning out and breaking off. And it's that alcohol. The alcohol, even though it looks like it's slick, and it's moisturizing it, it's not. Trust me, that alcohol is definitely putting it on dry. I gotta plug up my laptop here. Sorry, I don't want to lose you guys. Okay, and so just look out for those two ingredients. Those are the killers when it comes to edge control. Now, I just put one up, olive oil. Hope nobody for the company works here. Please don't sue me, but I just found it on Google. Blame Google. But I do know that edge control does contain it. And you see how it says superior hold and shine? Yeah, it'll give it to you all right. But in the long run, it's going to break your hair off. So my suggestion is try to find an edge control that doesn't contain the Cedarith 25 or PEG 7 glycerol cocoate. So I hope you guys have pen and paper. I was trying to stay on this screen, on this slide a little bit longer so you guys can write those two down. So I hope you guys got it. And if not, just ask me to put it back up in the question and answer segment. So now let's talk about this relaxer damage. Here's a picture of a client, because I get a lot, because I specialize in scalp treatments, I get a lot of people who come in here with damaged hair and damaged scalp. So all three of the products that I have there to the left, the relaxer damage, the color damage, the thio damage, all three of them can cause this to happen. As you can see, it has totally thinned out at the top. Now, she stopped getting the relaxer. I think she was doing relaxer and color. She stopped doing that. And as you can see, her hair was natural and she was wearing a wig for a while, but she said her hair wasn't starting to grow back, and she had been using all kinds of greases and oils, and so I told her she was just feeding it the wrong things. Now, 9 times out of 10, when it is damaged like that, the surface of the skin has been damaged. So we got to get rid of that damaged skin. And then the fact that she was always putting grease on her hair, and I think she was using sulfurate, and somebody told her she mixed some Vicks in with something. She was saying, I read that the menthol helps. And I'm like, first of all, if the YouTuber that you're watching, if you are watching YouTube for some of these tips, if they are not a licensed hairstylist, I suggest you don't listen to them, because 9 times out of 10, just because it worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Because remember, at the beginning of the webinar, I said hair is like a fingerprint. No two heads are alike. No two scalps are alike. So you do not want to always follow what works for someone else, especially if, now, I'm just talking from my point of view, because if they're young, they can do all that craziness to their hair and it'll still thrive. But when you start getting up there in age, you can't be taking any chances like that. because, just the cycle of life itself, we start to lose hair starting at around age 35 anyway. So if you're over 35, you really don't want to do any craziness by watching some of these YouTubers that are not licensed cosmetologists and have not been in the game for a while. Excuse me. My mouth is getting a little bit dry. Now, let's talk about some of these aggressive hairstyling techniques. Oh, sorry, my wording and stuff is off. I can't censor stuff to save my life. I just noticed it. But anyway, this from braids, weaves, and ponytails, you can get damaged like you see here on this picture. You see how her hairline really, if you can see my cursor, is right here. Okay, but the thickness really doesn't, it starts back, I'd say that's a good maybe 2.5 to 3 inches away from her hairline. And so she never, she always wanted to cover that up. But that came from her wearing braids. A lot of times that weight on the braids, from the braids, causes the hair to eventually come out. And it is because of that erector pili muscle. Let me hit this. Now, remember I told you that muscle holds the hair in? What happens is when something is hanging on your hair, as opposed to maybe a track of hair that you have sewn on and it's a weight, it's going to be able to hang in there for a while, but 2 months, but you take it out and then you put it back in right away. You take it out and then you put it back in. It is something hanging on that hair strand constantly. And what happens is this erector pili muscle gives out. It's just like if somebody is leaning on you for, leaning on your shoulder for, let's say, 10 minutes. That's really not going to hurt. But if they stay there for 3 days, what's going to happen? Your shoulder is going to be sore. And I'm going to just give you a picture. See, I couldn't find it, but imagine like this is your hair and extensions. The guy is your hair and the drunk girl is your the extensions hanging on it. After a while, that's going to get sore. And what's going to happen? His shoulder is going to give way. Well, the same thing happens with your hair. That erector pili muscle right there, it can only take so much stress. And then after a while, it's going to fall out. Now, and that's when you end up with this. And like my client here, and the hairline starts to disappear because, first of all, your hairline is one of the most sensitive and delicate areas of your scalp. And so when they're pulling on, and that's the place where braiders want to pull very tightly on it, and that is not good. So if you do get braids, I always suggest that you maybe get some feed cornrows in the front, and if you're going to get them individual, have them do the front very gentle. And there are a lot of braiders out there who are very aware of this. And if you can find one who really cares about your hairline, try to go to that person. Normally they are booked up because they are really good. But hey, if it saves your hair and it costs you a little bit more money, I suggest you do it. But don't just pop into any neighborhood braiding shop to get your hair braided, because we're thinking, oh, it's absolutely harmless, but you really need to know what you're doing. And if you live in the Washington, D.C. area and you want to know about some braiders, just hit me up. You can hit me up on my Facebook page or DM me or something like that. And I'll give you her name and her number, but she is excellent. And she really pays attention to your edges. See, I'm not a braider by trade. I can cornrow you up and put a weave in, but that's not my forte. That's not what I do. What I do is I try to save hair. I try to get hair back. So that's my specialty. But here's a picture of, now I want you guys to look very closely of how you know you are beginning to start to damage your hair from braids and weaves. This is a client of mine who pulled some braids out. Now, if you look closely, if you look at it right away, you'll say, most people say, oh, she has dandruff. But can you see how this tube-like white is on her hair strand? You see how it's long? That is not dandruff. Can you see that right there? I hope you can. Can you guys see my cursor? Somebody hook me up and see if you can see where I'm pointing this cursor at, to these little white spots. Can you see this picture pretty good, everybody? Anybody? Okay. Well, anyway, hopefully you guys can see this. I'm praying that you can. But this tube like whiteness or flake. Okay, yeah, thanks, Marcia. This tube flake or this that looks like dandruff, it is not dandruff. What that is part of this root sheath. You see this? See where the root sheath is? Being upended and coming out of her scalp. And so you mistake it as dandruff and you say, oh, I've gotten dandruff after that. It would not be hanging on in a tube-like shape on her hair strand. She has actually, and you can see how it's long right there, right from her scalp. She is actually upended. Now, this is after I shampooed it too. And I told her, I said, baby, you can't get these braids again for a while because it was pulled so hard that your root sheath is starting to come out. So what happens is that root sheath, remember, is holding the sebaceous glands. You see that? And that's what's giving you the oil. If that bad boy is gone, guess what? Your sebaceous glands can't feed it any oil. It's nothing to feed it to because that feeds the root sheath is what moisturizes the actual hair strand. So when it comes out into the world, it's nice and moisturized and it's not dry and brittle. And dry and brittle hair. Yeah, Allison, you're showing. I see it now. I'm sorry. Maybe you did type and I missed it. But yeah, I'm seeing you, Allison. Okay, thanks, sweetie. I mean, oops, somebody told me don't say that. That's not professional. Thanks, my sister. Thanks for the help. I'm trying to be professional. I always say to people, sweetie and honey, and my boyfriend just got on me today, like, you don't do that. So I'm trying my best. I'm just starting the day. So, hey, please forgive me. I don't mean to. Please call me honey, sweetie. Do that all the time. Okay, thanks, Allison. But where was I? Oh, yeah, I was talking about that is what, let's go back to this picture because I'm trying to go these slides. That is what is feeding it. See how, and if it comes out, what's going to give your hair oil? And so when you start seeing this, pump the brakes on whatever you are doing and go back to, I don't care if it's just blow drying your hair. I don't care if it's just wearing it in an afro, wearing it natural. I don't care if you flat iron it, but whatever it is, whether it was a weave, whether it was a braids, whether it was crochets, it is starting to rip that root sheath out and is not protecting the hair strand anymore. Or the rectopili muscle is about to give way and the root sheath has detached and the root sheath is starting to come out. So either way, you don't want that. So just remember this. Okay, your scalp is like an empty field and your hair is like the grass that grows on it. You want to have your field looking great. You want it nice and manicured and looking good and clean of debris. But so often, especially with product buildup and all the gunk that we put in our hair and all the chemicals that we put on it, our field look like that. The grass can barely grow. You got rocks and stuff you got to clean out. You need to give it a deep cleaning, put down some seed to feed it. And so the seed would be stuff like essential oils, things that can sink into your scalp and begin to heal. Natural aloe vera to give you moisturizer, moisture to help kickstart your sebaceous glands again. So if you have to think of it that way, if you want to get back to that, if you want to get back to this grassy, healthy scalp, just like this grassy, healthy field where the grass grows good, you can't, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't grow like that on its own. You know, I always think about my neighbor, Mr. Scott. He used to get out there, he put down his grass seed, and at night he'd make sure it was watered, and his grass was so lush and green. He cut it, he'd make sure it was raked, it was full of debris. If we stepped on it by mistake, he'd be like, y'all know better than to be on my grass with that football or whatever it was, because he took such good care of it. That's why his grass thrived. It's the same with our scalp. We have to take good care of it. If we let all this stuff pile up on it and we don't give it a proper deep cleaning, we don't feed it the right stuff, it's not going to grow. So how do we feed it the right stuff? How do we keep it healthy? Well, first of all, Gotta eat lots of fruits and vegetables. I know stuff we really don't want to hear. Gotta drink a lot of water. And we got to do some moderate exercise, at least 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. I am so guilty. I'm going to try my best to do it today. Because it's like, you get to working out. And then, me, I put in tapes or whatever. And I get to breathing hard for a hot second. I'll be like, whoa, I got to sit down. And I end up watching the chick instead of pausing it, or maybe walking in place or whatever. Or even just taking a walk, or after work, I'm like, I'm tired. Don't nobody feel like walking. Don't nobody feel like doing this. Don't nobody feel like doing that. So I'm guilty of that, but we got to get that moderate exercise, because what it does is it gets the blood flowing. I'm going to go back to it. And when the blood is flowing, all of these components get fed that's underneath the hair and the skin surface. And the erector pili muscle is fed directly from the bloodstream, which holds your hair in. And incidentally, I really didn't get into this, but your blood is what feeds your hair. When someone has cancer and is treated with by radiation or chemotherapy, what it does is that it kills off all of the cells. It kills off the bad cells, but it also kills the good cells. And cells is what's in your blood. And because the cells get killed, that's why the hair falls out, because the hair is fed directly from your bloodstream. That's why they can take a strand of hair and get your DNA from it. They can tell what kind of drugs you're on. They can do all kinds of testing from a hair strand, because the hair strand is a direct, it comes directly, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a direct reflection of your blood and your bloodstream. So they can tell, a whole lot from a hair strand. So that's why it's so very important that we get our blood pumping and we feed it with, the fruits, the vegetables, the drink, and lots of water. But I'm sure you guys knew that, but I figured I'd throw that in anyway. But I'm sure most of you are just very smart and got a whole lot of common sense. But some people don't know it, but I know you guys do. So how do we keep the scalp healthy? Well, we want to use natural products that with essential oils that are free from lanolins, waxes, and paraffins. So always look for that on the back of your jars and just the products that you buy. You want to make sure that it doesn't have lanolin, wax, or paraben. Those are the most killer, because those are all synthetic materials. And the problem is with synthetic materials is that it's man-made, and the molecules are way too large to sink in the human skin, so it can't heal it. So just look at it this way. We put on chemicals or we do certain things to our hair, like braids or weaves, or we get relaxers, or we put color on it because we want to change our appearance and we want to look good. But it depletes it. Doing these things depletes it of natural ingredients, natural things that let me go back. You guys know where I'm going, that our sebaceous glands produce. So it's going to deplete that, right? But then we turn around and we go get a jar of sulfurate, or Blue Magic, or I don't even know some of the greases out there, Miracle Grows and all of this that contains these lanolins, these waxes, and these parabens, and they are synthetic material, and we're trying to replace what we took out naturally with something that was man-made. So if it comes out, if you deplete it and it's natural, what should you do? You should try to replace it with natural. Don't never try to replace it and get your hair back on track with something that's synthetic. And when you see lanolin, you see wax, or you see paraben, it is synthetic. Now, lanolin really does come from an animal. It comes from a lamb, but that is the exception. Even though it is mostly natural, it's still too thick. And it's not made for that, because lanolin is basically to help seal. Like they put it on wounds to help close up a wound. It creates a barrier. So if it's creating a barrier, because you think about something like Vaseline, or even what's that, the neosporins and stuff, and they try to get you to heal because it creates a barrier and it allows it to heal, and it shields your wound from outside dangers, things that could cause the wound to get infected. And so it protects it from that. So if it's causing a barrier, guess what? Nothing is coming out and nothing good is going to be able to get in. So it's not getting air. It's going to block it from the sun, which gives you vitamin D. And then on the inside, it's going to have to work double hard to try to push itself out because your hair is constantly growing. And I am going to be giving a webinar on the hair growth and the hair growth cycle and things like that, so we can go more into about what you can do as far as mixing your own products catered to what you need to help your hair get back healthy. And another thing we want to do is we want to exfoliate our scalps at least 4 times a year. We already talked about it with the field. Exfoliating your scalp is basically cleaning all this debris up, cleaning up that product buildup, cleaning up those dead skin cells, getting it off so you can have fresh skin. You know, we exfoliate our bodies, we exfoliate our faces, and we never exfoliate our scalps, and that's skin too. And that is that appendage. That scalp is the big thing that's more important than the appendage. So remember we talked about, I'm gonna go back up to it for some of you who came in a little bit later. We talked about the appendage of the skin. Let me find it. Here we go. And we said, what is hair? It is an appendage of the skin, and it is a thing that is added or attached to something larger and more important. When you exfoliate your scalp, you are taking care of that larger and more important thing that is attached to, which is your scalp. So why should we exfoliate the scalp? Well, it's going to maintain the skin's chemical balance. It's going to stimulate blood circulation. It's going to eliminate toxins. It's going to strengthen your hair roots. It's going to peel away dead skin cells, and it's going to remove that product buildup. Now, here's my client. I took this myself with my own microscope. Here, this is product buildup. Now, I had already shampooed my client, but if you can look, can you see all of this flakiness? All of this gunk that's like surrounding the hair strand. You can see some of it is even going up the strand. And mind you, I had already shampooed it, but it's really crusty. When I put up this next picture after I exfoliated, you're going to see. Now, this is after 2 shampoos. And I lifted her scalp first with a comb. And then I gave her 2 really good shampoos. And then I blow dried it out so I could take a picture. And I mean, I scrubbed it good. I used the shampoo brush and everything. And we still ended up with stuff on her scalp. Now, I couldn't see this with my naked eye, but when I put the microscope up to it, this is what I saw. But then I exfoliated it. And this is that same scalp. You see how much more clean it is, how the opening of the hair strand, where the follicle where the hair is coming out of the scalp, and you can actually see the hair, a little bit of the hair below the scalp. All of that is cleared out. But guess what? As this hair grows, it's easier for the hair to come out of the scalp now. It doesn't have to fight. She even has some fine hair right here that probably could have been a lot thicker if she didn't have all of this haze from the product buildup. You can see it even looks cracked. If she didn't have all of this on her scalp, that little hair right here probably could have come out a lot easier, and it probably would be a lot thicker. But this is what exfoliating your scalp will do. It. So can you understand why a scalp like this, the hair is going to thrive a lot better than a scalp that has a lot of the product buildup on it? You guys get it now? I hope you do. That's why it's so important to really take care of the scalp. Yeah, products are great. I love products, but that's not the only thing. The most important thing is that you exfoliate your scalp. So how can you exfoliate your scalp? You know, I got to go into my scalp exfoliating system. It's a combination of the Dead Sea Scalp Mask and the Turbinado Sugar Scrub. It cleanses, it purifies, it refreshes the scalp to help maintain and promote hair growth. Now, I have this system normally retails for $85. It's on sale right now for $65, but just for you guys, I have it for $40. Oh shucks, and it went out of my way. I'm gonna have to put that up for you. But just for you guys for the next 72 hours, I don't know why my call to action is not coming up. It's gonna be there for you guys for the next 72 hours. So let me get it up really quick. Just give me a hot second. And it's free shipping too. Let me copy this. And so if you haven't tried it, I'm going to suggest that you do try it. And I'm going to put it up when we do question and answers in just a second. So some future webinar topics. If you guys have some things that you want me to talk about, let me know. But these are some of the things I was thinking about, doing soon is understanding product ingredients, the hair care maintenance. We talk about how to maintain your hair. We're going to talk about actual products that we should be using on a regular basis. We can talk about hair and nutrition. We can talk about women and hair loss. If there's something else you want to know, but let me know. But this is the time to ask your questions. I thank you for your participation. Does anyone have any questions? Please type it in the chat box and I finished in record time. I did it. I wanted to leave about 30 minutes for questions and answers. So please, any questions, let me know. I'm going to wait for just a second. And while I'm doing that, yes, my hair. Okay, Allison, get it up. And while you're putting yours up, I'm going to put up this call to action really quick. All right, let me get this up. I'm going to put this up. Give me just a second. I'm sorry. I thought it was up there. And let's see if this will work for me. I'm just going to stick it up at the top there. All right, there it is. So, but it's only $40 right now. Okay, now let's see what Allison has to say. Okay. It says, should the stylist know what heat temperature to use on your hair? Yes, the stylist should know. If the stylist doesn't know, they don't need to be really doing hair. And I'm not saying stylists. We are practicing hairstylists. We're not perfected. That's why they call it a practice. It's a law practice. It's a medical practice. It's dental practice. It's cosmetology practice. We're practicing. It's not perfected, but they should know that. I'm not saying that we don't make mistakes, but if your stylist starts to send your hair and they don't notice it and they're constantly doing it, I suggest you find another hairstylist or just let them know, I think you're using it too hot because my hair is feeling brittle, my hair. And talking to your stylist is good too, because we don't read minds. Sometimes you have to let us know, say, I'm getting more shedding than normal. Do you think maybe, my heat is too high? Now your hair is not growing back on the top and it's breaking off. What do I suggest? Well, I suggest you start with exfoliating your scalp. That's the first thing you want to do and see if that works. Normally, when people exfoliate their scalp and have never exfoliated their scalp before, they normally see a growth spurt. And that's because they just got off a lot of product buildup, some dead skin cells. Now, if that doesn't work, I would suggest that you get follicle treatments. And I do have a follicle rejuvenating system that works well too. And if you go on my website, I'm gonna put the website in here. And you hover over products, click on the scalp, the follicle rejuvenating system. I'm trying to type it and click on it and you'll see a video. Wait a minute, I can't type and talk at the same time. The hair care company. Okay. So yeah, click on that. And if you hover over products, it will show you a video and also for the scalp exfoliating system. But let me, I got the special now. I'm going to put the special link in here as well. And I'm going to send it to you guys in a I'm going to send it to you guys in an email too, because it's for 72 hours. So if you don't get it right now, don't worry about that. But for the next 3 days, you can get it with free shipping for just $40. And also, it's right here too, above the thank you for your participation. You can click on that and go directly to the page as well. Any more questions? Anybody out there? Let me see who we got attending here. You're welcome, Allison. And I hope you know, did you wear braids? Did you have braids or weaves or anything that you wore on a regular, Allison? And when did you notice it, starting to break? Oh yeah, you went through. That's me too. You are not alone. Going through menopause, that is tricky, tricky, tricky. All I can do is just tell you, you can try follicle treatments, and it may come back. But you're finished with menopause though? Because you're saying you went through. So do they feel that you're done, or are you still going through? Oh, it's starting to. What's starting to? The menopause or your hair? Is starting to fall out. Okay, so but you're done. Has your doctor said you're finished with the menopause phase, or do we ever finish menopause? That's my first question. Because mine just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I don't know what's going on. So, okay, no. Okay, you're still going through. Yeah, so try exfoliating your scalp. Lighten up on. Is it dry too? Do you feel like you're more dry as well? Yeah, normally dry hair breaks a lot too. So yeah, exfoliating your scalp will help. I let me see if I can find. Give me a second. I'm going to switch screens here. It's yeah. Let me go to Boca Apothecary. Oh, what's wrong? I hope I didn't knock you guys out. For some reason, the server wouldn't work for me, but that's okay. This place sells a aloe vera liquid. Do not get it's like some aloe vera gel that they use for like sunscreen and put that on your scalp, because that has a lot of alcohol in it, so it dries up. But this place, Boca Apothecary, they sell a aloe vera liquid gel, or it's really an aloe vera liquid, and I mix it a little with either some jojoba oil or some almond oil. And I do have a class where I'll teach about all of that. And I put it on before I shampoo it on my scalp, put a little cotton around my edges, put a plastic cap on, sit underneath the dryer, or I don't have a dryer at home. I broke my dryer, and I don't live here, so I do it at home. I put it on at night. I put the cotton around, put the plastic cap on, and then I put a headscarf on, and I sleep like that overnight. And then I get up in the morning and I lift up my scalp, because with me going through menopause, and I have a condition, a chronic disease as well, so I take a lot of medication. It has run rampant, and so that has helped keep the dryness down as well. But you want to use essential oils too to oil your scalp, but none of that is going to work if you have product buildup on the scalp. It's not going to be as effective. So, and I only suggest that you exfoliate your scalp, 4 times a year at the change of the seasons. Even twice a year is better than nothing. Even once a year is better than nothing. And our scalp exfoliating system, my scalp exfoliating system, it'll give you at least between 2, depending on how big your head is. No offense to anyone, but it will give you between 2 and 4 applications. So, exfoliate the scalp first, but then try to keep it up. But go to Boca Apothecary and Apothecary, I always pronounce that wrong, and check out their aloe vera liquid. And if you mix that with it doesn't take much liquid, just a little bit. And mix it in with the oil, but it's going to give you some great moisturizing. And if your scalp is really dry, I'll say don't even try to lift it up dry because you're going to cause it to break more. Put that on first. Let it really moisturize and get in there, and then lift it up after it has soaked in, after you've sat under the dryer for a while or slept in it overnight. Because like I said, I've jacked up my hair more than anybody on the planet. So I know don't do that. You're going to have a disaster on your hands. Are there any more questions? I see Allison is still typing. CJ, all right, CJ getting in on it. Can you send me that in an email form, or do you have it on your site? What do I have what on my site? I don't know exactly what you're asking because I put up a couple things, Allison. Because I put the Boca Apothecary, the way you do that. No, I actually have that in one of my e-courses. I take you all the way through because me just sending it in an email is not well, I'll just put what I said there with just a little bit, but I actually have let's see, a course you can check out. Let's see if I can get it to open up. A lot of stuff won't open up here while I'm in this. Give me just a second. Okay. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't expect that question. I should have been prepared. Anyway, it is my Healthy Hair and Scalp. Hair Growth Secrets Made Easy. That's what it is. Let me see if I can find it. Give me just a second. I might have to switch screens on you, Allison, but I'm going to get that to you right now. Here we go. Got it. Hang on. Hold on. Let's see if I can get this in here. Sorry, you guys. I am so sorry. I'm not that smooth sometimes. I'm a hairstylist. Okay. Now this is for you, Allison. Okay. Now CJ said, there's the class. CJ said, what do you recommend for coloring my gray hair? My mom and a lot of women wear wigs to cover their gray. Oh, you want to use a demi, because the problem why a lot of women can't seem to get their gray cover is you using semi-permanents or temporary hair colors. And that is not going to get it. It's going to rinse down the drain shortly after you put it, within a week or two, it's totally faded away. So you want to use a demi-permanent hair color. Wella, let's see, the Color Charm, that is a demi. Let me put it, oops. I'm going to type it in there. You can get it at Sally's. It comes with an activator. And that's what it is. If you're doing it straight out of the bottle, if you're putting the color on your hair straight out of the bottle, CJ, it's going to rinse out. You need a little bit more power because gray is the most, it's the toughest hair resistant. That's the word I'm thinking for. I'm an instructor. I should know this stuff. It's just hot under these lights. But it is the most, I just said it. Dang it, I cannot think. But it's some strong stuff. It is the most resistant hair on the planet. There we go. So you want to use some Wella Color Charm. Demi-permanent is normally, that is what you would call it. It's a deposit-only hair because you don't want it to be permanent. You want it to say demi, D-E-M-I. I'm going to put it in there. Permanent hair color. The demi-permanent hair color is what you want to use. You want to have to be able to mix it with an activator. When you do that, I guarantee the color will stick, especially if it's natural hair. Now, relaxed hair, semi-permanent works fine, especially the same day as relaxer. It's really going to stick because the chemical has opened up the cuticle of that hair, and that color pigment is able to go in because the relaxer has already opened it up. But when it's natural hair, you need to open it up. Remember when we talked about the cuticle of the hair? It needs to be able to get down into all of these layers in that cuticle of the hair and start to sink into the cortex. So you need something to really open that up wide. And that's what the activator does in the demi color. It is not a permanent hair color. And if you have, and it is a very low developer, like normally for permanent hair color, if you're going to take your hair lighter than your natural color, you need to use at least 20 volume. Most demi colors are between 5 and 7. Okay, so there's a big gap. So know that it's not going to be damaging to the hair at all, because even relaxed hair can take demi-permanent hair color, even on the same day as a relaxer if it's a 5 volume. So normally permanent hair color starts to actually remove pigment and then deposit pigment. That starts at 20 volume. You know, you're not going to get any lift, anything below 20 volume. And the demi-permanents, like I said, are between 5 and 7 volume. Developer, so it is quite safe. Okay, so don't worry about it. Anybody else says, do I suggest stop relaxing as well? If you're having issues with your relaxer, not necessarily, especially if you are using a regular relaxer and you're starting to see your hair is shedding and breaking and you're losing a lot of hair a lot, before you completely jump ship from the relaxer, try moving to a mild. Because remember, it is just a relaxer. It is not a straightener. The reason that people lose hair is because we want to keep it on till it's straight, but it ain't a straightener. It's called a relaxer. It's just to relax your curl. So once you relax that curl and then you put a little heat on it, be it a flat iron or you put some foam wrap on it, which I suggest the Nairobi. It is a fabulous foam wrap that has emollients in it, and you sit under the dryer, it's going to dry nice and straight for you. And normally it takes a lot of moisture to make it puff, but your goal for a relaxer is not to make your hair straight. It's just to relax it to give you better control. So just if you're finding that the relaxer is too strong and you're using a regular relaxer, move to the mild. Now, if the mild is too strong, well then yeah, you might need to consider letting the relaxer go altogether. But try just changing the strength first. Oh, it's a mild, Allison. I'm sorry. Yeah, you might want to let that go then. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to bust your bubble like that, because I know I love my relaxer too. But sometimes we just gotta let it go. We gotta say bye-bye. So, I get it. But yeah, you may want to try, especially if it's a mild and it's still coming out. How do you wear your hair, Allison? Do you mind me asking? Just waiting for Allison to finish typing, you guys. Are there any other questions while we're waiting for Allison too? Just put it in the chat box, because we got just a few more minutes left. No, I mean, I use mine most of the time in ponytail, which is going to stop. Yes, stop with the ponytail. That might be one of the reasons why you're starting to lose hair too. Just try, wearing it down or setting it, or, I don't know. I guess it do you still have a lot of curl pattern left to your hair when it's wet, or is it when it's wet it's straight with the mild relaxer? It's a little curly. Okay, so then maybe have you ever tried like maybe a little twist out or something like that, where you do a couple layers of flat twist, put some rollers on the end, let it dry, and then just wear it kind of, curly and funky. You could try that. Like I said, you could flat iron it. Don't have your flat iron too high. I would suggest you start at about 350 should be good. You said no, but now, yeah, give that a try, especially if you have a little curl to it. But give it a break from the ponytail. Definitely give it a break from the ponytail. And the twist out is pretty A lot of women start to like it. You know, at first they're like, I don't think I'm going to like it. But when they take it out, after it dries completely, you do the flat twist and you let it dry completely, and you take it out, you might be surprised. And then you can still pin that up and, you know, maybe put a little clamp on the back and just do different things with it. But just try to switch it up. And I'm not saying you got to give up the ponytail forever, but you may want to give it a break. So wherever that you normally hold your ponytail, my guess would be it's a little bit thinner at that spot than anywhere else. I could be wrong. Like cloth or plastic ones. Do headbands damage the front of the hair like cloth or plastic ones? I think it. And what are you wearing it every day? Now, if you're wearing it every day, anything in excess is going to, yeah. If you're wearing it every day, yeah, eventually it will damage it. You know, you just have to give your hair a break sometime. It's not, you know, forever. But the problem is we find something that's easy, like I was talking about earlier. And like I said, things where you don't have to, where you don't have to comb your hair as often or do much to your hair. It's going to be damaging. You have to do some other things. It's like if you do nothing but I don't know. I'm trying to think of an analogy here. Squats all day, every day, all day, every day. Your legs and stuff, they're going to get big and stuff, but they're going to get tired after a while too, and they're going to wear out. And the rest of your body is going to be ignored, and you're going to be looking crazy. Your body, you know, because, you know, the only thing you're paying attention to is your legs and your thighs and, you know, your glutes and all of that, just your lower body, but your upper body is going to suffer. And so when you wear the headbands and stuff, you're not taking care of it. You're not paying any attention, and the hair that's getting combed and getting cared for is elsewhere. And that rubbing every day is going to cause it to eventually come out. You have to give it a break. So try, you know, maybe the headband a couple times a week, and maybe pin it up or bring down a bang, or you know, I don't know, even put on a wig, you know, just to give it a break for a second. And when I say for a second, just, you know, try to just switch it up for a little bit. But if it started to break, if you're at the stage where you're doing something over a long period of time and it's starting to break off and you're starting to see damage, you're going to have to stop doing that for a while. Like just a couple days is not going to get it until it starts to grow back and get healthy. And then you can go back to wearing your headband or wearing your ponytail or wearing whatever it is every now and then, but you just know you can't do it in the long run. And I've had so many clients, I'm like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. We get their hair back. I get it. You know, whatever it was that caused it to break off, I get it to grow back. I get it back. And then they want to go right back and do the same thing. I'm like, we just got it back. Well, now I can get my color back in. That's what tore it up in the first place. Let's give it a break for a while, and then let's modify the color. Let's not make it so blonde. Let's come out of the relaxer. You can wear the blonde hair, but you can't have the relaxer. Or if you have the relaxer, then you can't have the blonde hair. But they will get it back, and then they'll still have the relaxer and say, okay, I'm ready to get my blonde hair back in. But guess what? It's just going to break back out. We got to change that up. So just change it up. Change it up. I know it can be difficult, especially when you're used to the same hairstyle you've been wearing for quite some time, and you're not the best of a, you know, hair person. I get it. And I wish I had an easier solution, but I don't, you know. We got to do what we got to do. You know, that's why I say, you know, even if you just put a wig on with, you know, or stop putting the headband on it. Are you pulling it back? If you're pulling it back, or is your hair natural? I'm not. CJ, how do you normally wear your hair that you wear the headband? I'll let CJ in. It's natural and pull back. Yeah. So instead of the headband, here's an idea. Maybe a couple parties going sideways in the front and twist it down to about right here, and then let the rest kind of stay up. And so you got something kind of pushing it back a little and leave the sides down. That's different than the headband holding it back. Especially if you're seeing breakage, if you're starting to see breakage, like stop like immediately, or maybe a little twist, a big twist right here, and just have it going to the side, and then maybe put a pin right here. So, because I know you're trying to get some type of shape to your hair, and so I get that. So if you, take it, got the camera, and maybe just twist it down like this, and then stick a little something in it, or or a little flat twist. I don't know if you know how to do that, or if you know how to cornrow, give yourself maybe 3 little cornrows to about here, and put a little rubber band on it just for a little bit. But don't do that all the time either. Just change it up. Try to look for different ways to wear your hair natural. Go on Google, look up natural hairstyle, look up medium natural hairstyles. I'm pretty sure medium length. Because I'm pretty sure you're not, unless you're very, very short, but I'm guessing since you're wearing a headband, you're probably about a medium length. And get some ideas. You'd be amazed. And if you don't know how to twist, this is when YouTube will come in handy. Now, them young girls do know how to style that stuff up. Now don't listen to all of their little formulas and do that, mix this and put that on your hair. But as far as the style itself, them young girls, they know. They got a few skills. I watch them sometimes. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. All right, that's cute, And as long as you're not pulling, it's not pulling too much. It's gonna be okay, But just change it up, and then go back to your headband too. But just switch it up. That's all I say. Any more questions? We're about at 8:22, so the questions were good. Thank you guys. I love it. Any more questions? Wait for Allison. She's typing. And my special came down again. Let me put it back up. Wow, Allison is typing. Maybe it'll let me. Let's try it again. I put the special back up. Okay. That's what I was asking for. Okay. I'm glad I was helpful. So if that's it and we have no more questions, like I said, the scalp exfoliating system special is right there at the top. It's only $40. It's normally an $85 system because it has some good stuff in it. It has some expensive stuff. And trust, sometimes when it's running out, I have to order ingredients to make that stuff up, and I might have paid the little bills or treated myself to something. It's time to buy those ingredients. I am crying. So I always say, look, Stephanie, you got to put, money aside to make sure when you re-up, you're not going to be crying, because some of that stuff is very, very expensive. And I use essential oils like frankincense and myrrh. And that stuff is really expensive. I'm talking little itty bitty bottles, and they want like $50 and $60 just for a little bit. So, and like vitamin E, I put pure vitamin E oil in it. That stuff is, I'm like, what is it? Is platinum sawdust in it? But it works so well. There is a code access on my buy now. Let's see what's happening. No, it's going right. When I hit, you talking on my buy now button? Is there a code? Oh, no, the price is there. That buy now. Let me just double check. Let me go to it real quick because I just made the page myself. Only you guys can get to it. There's no code necessary. It's not even, can't nobody get to it without the link. Trust me. Only you guys, it's just for you guys. Don't nobody even know it's there. It's buried deep, deep, deep in my website. Only you guys have access to it. Or if I send it to you in an email. So, which you're going to get it in an email tomorrow morning as well if you're not, And I'm giving you, 72 hours because I understand people weren't prepared, may not be prepared to buy anything today. But I know, payday is coming around and stuff like that. And so It's going to be up until, let me see, I said 72 hours, so we got Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's coming down on the 1st. I'll probably leave it up till Friday. But yeah, get it before then. Oh, it's not showing up on your screen. The link, it should be at the top. You don't see where it says Scalp Exfoliating System Special? That's not showing to you guys? So yeah, okay, good. But can you click on it? You should be able to click on it. And it should take you to the page. Just so you know if you want to bookmark the page, but I'm going to send it in an email, I promise. So, Hey, Val, I see you typing. That's my client, Miss Valerie Rogers. Miss Val, that's what I call her. Miss Val. Thank you, Stephanie. Good teaching. Looking forward to the email. Oh, thank you, Miss Val. You come in here anyway. Like, she's going to make me give her the scalp exfoliation anyway. She's not going to do it herself at home. I would be shocked, Miss Valerie, if you actually did the scalp exfoliation yourself at home, unless you're buying it as a gift for somebody. But she is such a great client. I thank you for sitting in, because all of this stuff you already know, Miss Val, but I thank you for coming in and, supporting me. But she's just great. She's just an angel here on earth. And incidentally, she has a great series of books. She is a minister, Miss Valerie, and she says she's open to trying new things. But Miss Val, put your books in the link, or how people can reach you. I'm just going to tell you, her books she has a series of books that I read a couple years ago that she wrote, and they are so inspiring, and they will definitely lift you up. So I'm hoping she types it in there. I don't know how we can get it, because she, gave it to me as a Christmas gift. I think it was a Christmas gift one year. She just gifted it to me, and they are fabulous. And she is just an angel here on earth, and God has truly sent her to just help the world. So let's see if she can get it up there real quick. She's typing right now. So if you do have a moment, check her out, because she's one of my clients, and she comes in here to the hair care company, and she's just, I love her. So of course, and if anybody has anything, I always shout people out. People support me, and I try my best to support others. So let's see. I don't know if she's gonna be able to get it up, but I'm gonna sign off soon. Wait a minute, Miss Val. I just want to just tell you guys she's typing it right now. Waiting for it to come up, because I didn't expect her to. I saw she was in, but I didn't expect her to put anything up. So I'm gonna shout her out, because that's what I do. I shout out people. We got to support one another, And then Allison and CJ, if you guys got anything you want to throw in there, put it in there that you have, of you guys that you have a business, you want us to check it out. Put it in the chat before we all leave, so we all can just write down what each other does, and we can check out each other's businesses. If you do have a business, because a lot of people got a little side hustle. Okay, there it is. She says the books are a 5 series on prosperity, and the latest book is Time to Build God's Way. You can reach her at V Rogers at HesEdMinistries.org if you're interested. Oh, Allison is a minister of music. Fabulous. Yes. That's what we need. Well, if you have anything, if you have any music, you just let me know. I will definitely check it out. Okay, and Allison is typing down. What about you, CJ? Do you have a business or anything you want us to know about? She says she's working on it now. All right, Allison, well, we're going to be praying that you get everything together. Okay, CJ, well, if you ever do one day, you all hit me up, CJ. Let me know what you do if you ever start anything, because I'm always willing to support people. Okay, everybody. If that's it. And Marcia put in mostcareerservices.com. SMOS. Is this Marcia Baker? I'm pretty sure it is. It just hit me. You guys see, my clients come in and then they be quiet. They don't say nothing. Y'all supposed to be the first ones to say something. I'm gonna get on y'all later. And it is Marcia Baker. Marcia and Val wait to the very end before they say something. But anyway, I thank you guys for tuning in as well. So on that note, everybody, it is 8:30. I said it was going to be an hour and a half, so I'm going to end on time. I thank you guys. I don't want to cut anybody off. Allison is tight. Okay, thank you, Allison. You have a blessed night too. And look, this is one of, I'm going to start it up again. This is not easy for me, but I'm going to get better and better. So hit me up in an email or anything. If there's anything more you guys want to learn about, I do need suggestions, because sometimes I rack my brain on, what am I going to teach about? And I don't want to teach about stuff you guys don't want to know about. I want to teach about stuff you want to know about. So on that note, everybody have a blessed night. I thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night. Bye.